gave up, and I thought I would just come here to get the real answer.
It's so good to see you.
See you too.
Keith is the dean of the business school at North Carolina Central, and has written a brilliant book, Winning with Customers, that everyone should read. It's absolutely a masterpiece, and I wouldn't say so. Okay, so that's exactly what we're talking about. There is creative criticism, constructive criticism, and yelling and screaming inside of a company is good. You should be able to yell and scream and say, no, I think we can be better. But being in essential conflict with the direction that the company is taking or should be going, especially when you don't say anything about it and it's only in your head, and behind the scenes you're running your own little strategy, trying to take the company in a different direction without telling anyone why you're doing it, this kills companies real fast, okay? So this is the kind of conflict that we cannot have. Okay? So, I guess I'll ask these questions. What does conflict mean in an organization? Let's just go over just a couple of basic definitions. What does conflict mean?
Disagreements.
Okay.
It means multiple viewpoints.
In some definitions, yes. Other ideas of conflict?
Putting one's own interests before those of the organization.
And that's when it becomes deadly. That's the cancerous part. That's the subject of Keith's book, by the way, or one of the subjects of his book. You know, putting your interest above that of the corporation will take you down in a heartbeat. Am I right about that, Keith? Is that kind of like the general synopsis of your book?
That's very good.
Okay, all right. So, is conflict good, and is conflict the same as constructive criticism?
It can be. It can be constructive or destructive.
When is conflict inside of an organization destructive?
So the conflicts are not resolved here. I mean, it's not when they are not addressed the satisfaction of all the critical.
Right, and why is it, and how is it, being that the clock is ticking, we've only got a year to prove that we can stand on our feet, you know, and start making money, why is it that they can go unresolved for that year, at which point the investors go, dude, I'm not investing another cent? How does it go on that long?
People start posturing and they won't compromise.
Ego.
But there's also positive conflict. I mean,
Of course there is.
it's good to have a healthy discussion. And some things don't have to be resolved right now. It's okay for some things to be unresolved for a period of time, as long as they're not directly affecting the ongoing operation of the business.
And I would add that as long as they are put on the table and everyone's aware of
Yeah,
it.
right. If it's chosen to, yes.
I think,
Good point.
I think that's the whole key of all of this, is that whether or not it impedes the progress of the company.
Mhm.
Because if you can have conflict, and it cannot, and it may not be resolved ever, but as long as it doesn't affect the progress of the company, that's okay. Right? You can have two founders that will come
Yeah.
at a problem that just will never agree on that particular issue.
Yeah,
But if
but-
the company's not suffering, then that's okay.
Yeah, I think Ben is right though. As long as, I mean, if you have that, everybody needs to know that that is there, and that it's recognized, and that they have agreed to disagree for now.
If you read Soul of the Machine, you can see how it becomes part of your strategy, right? One will win, one will walk away. That's creative tension that really drives some brilliance and some survivability. Many companies, particularly that have to be agile, use tensions, creative tensions, and have governance structures to actually manage it well and to not lose their human capital.
So, and that's part of what we'll be talking about as we go on, is how to manage this. So just as a way of introducing some of the subject matter, I've got two more introductory slides that are introducing the subject matter. We're coming up with the idea that there can be destructive conflict in which, and I'll get to this in just a moment, that people may have ulterior motives, and they could be your deadly, what I call loose cannon. There are people that are not vetted, that are put in startup organizations. You could give assessment test of these people, and you could find out that they are loose cannons. You can find out from a psychological perspective, you can find out their level of self-interest, you can find out their dislike of controls, you can find out their lack of empathy for other people. You can notice any number of red flags that would cause them to be a loose cannon. Loose cannons are not good, okay? Loose cannon conflict is bad. We can make that as a categorical statement. And sometimes these people are left inside of companies and they're not vetted properly before they're hired. So when you're looking at your company and you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, we're 6 months into it now, things seem to be going off the rails a little bit, I'm feeling like we might have some issues, you need to very quickly attack and look at your departments again and ask some very simple questions. And some of the simple questions are, and I would love to get some comments from this, is that who are your problem children? Who are your actors? Because, ladies and gentlemen, again, we live in a media-hyped celebrity culture where there's a lot of acting going on, there's a lot of posturing, and people act like they know what they're doing. And they act like they're good at what they are, and they can put on a good show, but mentally, cognitively, from a critical thinking or strategic reasoning standpoint, they don't know what they're doing.